Guys, what's up? This is Sugikon and thanks for joining me today on my patch 5.13 in-depth breakdown. So this won't be a TLDR because I have to talk about these big changes in this patch and how so much is going to change in this patch. So let's start, okay? So slows no longer stack. This is pretty important thing, and you will see something about this, I guess, while you play. Some people may not know this, but it's a big thing. Tahm Kench is making his entrance. He seems to be quite a troll champion because you can dive into the to the fountain with your ultimate, and he is very he has a global ultimate. He has pretty good damage apparently, and I guess he will be played on support. Maybe he's a top laner too. I haven't researched that much to give a very good insight about Tahm Kench. So I think he will be viable at least. He seems to have pretty OP health thing. He seems to be a bit of a tank. And I will talk about tanks and what the fuck is going on with tanks right now on League later on this video. Echo pretty much attack frame slightly improved. Good change as a buff. Chase getting a bug fix, no need to talk about that. Kalista is in a weird stage where they're reducing the attack ratio, but attack damage is going higher and the growth stat is going higher, so Kalista is pretty good champion, no doubt, but I just feel that she is not that good against tank lineups as people think she is. And they're doing actually a very interesting thing to Kayle right now, so it will passively now do magic damage on hit, and I think in active it just will bonus the damage or something like that. This will make last hitting much easier, and ideally you could play AD Kayle or AP Kayle in bot lane. I mean AD Kayle, I guess, because, well, never scratch that, you can't play that. I think Kayle is a kind of good champion, but I just don't like her playstyle, and that's why I never would suggest anybody to learn her, because you have to it's all about when E is active and when E is not active. That's all about Kayle, and that's kind of the flaw of the design in my opinion. I would rather just have a system where she could keep the E on much as possible, but it would drain her mana or something. And then we have Kennen, and they're pretty much doing whatever changes. Nautilus is getting damage nerfs to E, max damage, and on the first wave damage. The hitbox or W on Rek'Sai will the hitbox will be pretty much slower. I mean, not slower, smaller. And Shyvana will deal less damage with W. I think she was very oh, this was a document change, so this is not real change. Okay, Sinch is getting very interesting changes. Sinch is going to be one of those champions that I have to talk about a bit. So what happens is he is getting a magic resistance per level stats now. And this means that you don't necessarily need to run those magic resistance glyphs anymore. You can just play AP or whatever you wish. And the interesting part is also that they're changing the fling, so the fling will now, it will root more once you throw it to the sperm or whatever it is, whatever that undisclosed fluid is, you know. I don't know what it is. I'm not gonna claim whatever it is, but more stun. And since it's gonna be very OP in this patch, I'm gonna talk about it once we get to the item department, okay? Skarner, really nice champion, but I want some changes to him on damage wise to make him more viable. I want to kind of play him on top lane. He has a very good a level 2 power spike in top lane, but after that if he doesn't snowball, he's kind of useless. Lot of fixes to Syndra. Pretty much what it means is Yasuo and bronze walls, before they just got the balls got removed from the map, now they just fall to the ground. And this just means that you can use the Scatter the Weak to launch the shit once they drop down, and you know, so the balls don't disappear. Trash is now getting, you know, the Scuttle Crab now spawns a soul, which is pretty okay buff. But I have to say, guys, if you are, since we know that there's no platinum players above watching this video, don't play trash. You are, it says like, combine their efforts for the Mad Life moments. You're not fucking Mad Life. Stop playing this champion. I'm fucking tired of playing with silver trash players on the fucking queue. They don't know how to play trash. It will take you years until you learn this champion and every trick that it can do. Don't try to play hard champions in solo queue. You wanna grow up on elo, pick fucking Leona. Leona is so fucking easy. 3 stuns, easy to land. A lot of like, Leona's ultimate is so easy to land. Or play Annie. Those are the best 2 supports you can play right now and win the games, because they don't require any skill. Trash requires you to have skill. If you're not like, the same as I always say, like, don't play Blitzcrank. It's such a fucking horrible champion, because Blitzcrank is 99% about landing the hook. The minute you miss the hook, you are useless. You have no value on the team fights anymore. You can throw 1 silence and you maybe cancel that Anivia's ultimate, but after that it's fucking useless, because the fucking silence lasts like, what, half a second? It's these 2 champions are absolutely useless to an average player, because you can't maximize the potential. It's the same thing with Lee Sin, you know? You can't play it because you can't maximize it. Like, right now, Lee Sin is only viable when, like, someone like Insect or Dandy is playing it. I think any other player in the world, almost, maybe a few like maybe a few LCS players who could say, like, justify that they are playing Lee. If you can't do the Insect combo, especially, then Lee Sin is pretty useless as a champion to have in a team. You can't maximize the potentials, and even if you can like reach the 75% of capacity of these champions, they still will be worse picks than the Leona. That's the problem. In the beginning, Tress, Lee, and well, Blitzcrank 2 were really like strong, and even if you weren't that good, you were like somewhat used. But now these are very skill oriented champions, and even though you say, oh look at, I did an amazing hook yesterday. No, you did not. You just, that happened one time. One time out of fucking 30. Next time you go into a game, like, please do count how many hooks do you land and how many you miss. If you're gonna like have, if you're gonna even miss 20%, it's not worth playing these champions. I'm just gonna say, I'm just so fucking tired of seeing those trash players in queue. Like, they're so bad. Don't play this champion. Don't play this champion. Play something easy. Play Sona. Play Leona. Play Janna, play Annie. Those are the best supports you can play. Okay, Veigar. Primordial Burst is getting like, it's now like bigger. And while the AP scales, I want to see how it looks like. W on AP on AP Xin Zhao has been like nerfed, so I guess goodbye tanking turrets now. Zillion, okay, he kind of like both. I guess this, I haven't still played Zillion after the rework, by the way, guys, so maybe I should try that. Mystic Shot has been like tweaked a bit on Pulse Vice Ezreal. So let's talk about the items a bit. So Devour is getting like huge changes. The starting damage on hit is now 30 instead of 25. And they changed pretty much how it works to where you get the stacks, okay. And at 30 stacks, the dodge, like, it will transform, which makes sense, because that will just make, like, Master Yi's farm less on the fucking jungle. But here's the interesting part. Every other basic attack triggers on-hit effects twice. And this is, well, with Send, for instance, there are, like, a lot of items that, you know, like, could, I haven't really thought about a lot of this yet, but I guess there are like a lot of somewhat theorycraft things which are very interesting, I would say. And critical strikes are not in effects, by the way, guys. So I'm very curious like how overpowered this will be on attack speed based champions. Maybe some like Kayle Wits and build could be good. I don't know. I don't know really. I have to experiment with this item, but this item is actually now good because it doesn't take you 5 hours to make it like good. It has like reasonable stacking system and yada yada. Runeclave, kind of like bit of a like a high item right now. They're adding more AP, but now they're like removed the loot and Seco stuff from it, and they added some like spell blade ratio into it, but it seems to be useless now, and I don't think people will play mid anymore. Righteous Glory is getting like nerfed, which is good. So it had like a pretty low cooldown, and now they're like adding removing some health too. This is a good change because the tanks are getting a bit OP right now, which I'm gonna talk about in a minute. Spirit Wizard is now like all the healing effects will be now increasing, not just self heal. So Soraka, Sona, who else has heals? Nami, all these champions will heal now more with this item. I think Spirit Visage can be a very good item for Soraka, by the way. It could be a very good item for Sona. Could be a good item for Kale, I guess. It's just many possibilities for... This is gonna just buff the healer champions a lot, I think. This might bring Soraka and Sona back, because this is a pretty good item. 20% like added on to... Somebody do the math, but yeah. So this is the big change of this thing, what I had to talk about a lot. I already talked about 11 minutes, but this is the important part, okay? So the AP stuff is getting a lot of changes, and this is right, well, not, you can't really say like right before the Worlds, but the competitive patches are probably going to be played on 5.13 or something like 5.14, I think. And this is just going to be good for like people like Faker, and mid lane is just going to be, in the long story short, mid laners are going to be more powerful. But I have to address like stuff like, I do strongly feel that the tanks are really overpowered right now. Like the things that they did with the Malphite, for instance, is ridiculous. 30% armor boost. What the fuck in a passive? Get the fuck out of here, Riot. And all the Blade of the Ruined Kings and shit like this. Like AD carries are so fucking weak right now, in my opinion. That's my take. You know, outside Wayne and Kog'Maw, I feel like every other AD carry is like super weak late game because they don't do enough damage, because they don't have percentual things like Graves. They just can't do much about these like hyper tanks. And I guess this is one way to address the problem that the AP champions would be able to. And there's like, okay, let's talk about, so Blasting 1 costs now 10 gold less. Needless large roads cost less too, but it gives 20 less AP. And then you have to think like, what is more cost efficient now? Okay, 2 blasting ones or not needless large rod. That, you know, before it was pretty much like even at some point. Well, actually no, large rod was a bit cheaper. And these are gonna like make things kind of interesting. So Rabadon costs 200 gold more. Has a bit of a different path to make it. I don't know why you had to throw the amplifying dome there. Doesn't make any fucking sense. But, you know, good for, like, I guess for nothing. And the AP is still... So you get 5% more fucking AP. That's insane boost. That's an insane boost. It's just gonna make those certain champions, like we talked about, like, one of the champions is gonna get like so buffed in this patch is Vlad. Vlad is getting so insane boost in this patch. It's just unreal. So what happens is like you give 5% more AP to Vlad, you're just gonna give him like more health too. He's gonna be so tanky in this patch. And the other thing we need to talk about is the Hourglass. So Hourglass skill will give like 20 less AP, okay, 20 less AP, but it will be a bit cheaper, which is a, you know, good change. Maybe our class, like, maybe that will be less prioritized now for our class, or it will be like a situational item, like against Zed and champions like that. But the idea is to, you know, still, it can be like a viable, but I see what everybody would rush Rabadons as a third item. Don't, by the way, rush Rabadons as a second item. So finish Moral Nomicon or Athens or Roa and then go Rabadon. So never go with first item, because the ability bonus power doesn't really like help you a lot, it won't be a cost efficient item because there's nothing to get the bonus AP from because you have no other items. Luden Seko now gives you 10% more movement speed and less AP, and it costs less. Here's the interesting part though. This is gonna give just so much mobility for certain champions in the game, and I don't know why would they do that, because now, like, pretty much like every champion that's gonna pick Luden Seko, they're gonna like run faster than any AD carry in the game. They can outrun the AD carries now, because they're giving so much movement speed to them. I can't catch them anymore. I can't chase with an AD carry, and that's insane. Even the Trinity champions can't catch 10% bonus, because the base movement speeds of AD carries are already like fucking low. How the fuck they're gonna catch anyone with Luden Seko? They can't. Realize getting very interesting change. So the recipe is pretty different. You have more slow effects, but they last less. And there's so many menus like Ani and Mordekaiser. Don't know if this applies to Yorick, by the way. And now slow on hit 20% for 1 second, and your particles. So more slows, different like way to build the item, but otherwise it stays the same. Archangel Staff, 20 more AP. Road of Ages now gives you more mana, but gives you less health, and gives you 40 more extra AP. No, sorry, 20 more AP. So it will be more like a damage and mana item right now. I run the math. It will give you still less, like, because they double the mana, but it still won't be like Singed will still lose like health from this item. It will like create him 75 less health than he used to, but you will get 20 more AP. And I guess like the 200 Syrup's Embrace, I'm not sure how much that is in AP. I guess like 5. So if you run this combo with Singed, you're just gonna have a lot more AP in this like patch. Sings will slow more, of course, and the Sings is just gonna be like very interesting to play now. I think these are very interesting changes. I've said interesting probably a couple of times, but it's just gonna be making Sings like very like more damage heavy in this build. He will be having less health, but it doesn't really matter. And what they're also doing is like Leandry is pretty much getting like 30 more AP, and this is one of those reasons where I said to you Vlad is gonna be OP again, because Rulais is getting buffed and Leandry is getting buffed. Vlad is gonna have more AP on his build. Void Staff is getting 110 AP more, which is good. I think Void Staff was kinda underpowered in my opinion, for the most part. This is great change for it, and we have to see like how it affects. And of course I have to talk, I guess I have to go back and talk about Rise. So I guess Rise is gonna get like a lot more, I haven't run the map, but Rise might be getting a lot more like damage from that. I'm not sure about Cassadin, so Cassadin also scales from mana, so maybe they will like trend better. Math has to be run. Nashor's is getting 10% less attack speed and more AP. Not sure is this the best trade-off for the champions who want to play Nashor, want to buy Nashor. I guess it's good for Teemo. I guess it's good for Kale. I don't know. 10%. It's hard to say. Hard to say. Bill of Ancients now will like pretty much work that they will like they won't take account the resistances, and that's gonna be interesting. And math has to be done on this item, and I'm really interested like how it will actually affect. The spell amp system is gonna be a bit different. It still will work with Visage, and the problem is Will of Ancients just maybe it gives like bad base AP, and I just don't think it's viable item for anyone else other than Vlad right now. And maybe Akali, so the heals might be insane, actually. Baron Domicon just has a different, like, path. So does Athene's. Why they have to throw the fucking amplified tomes? They're just gonna, like, I don't know. And Twisted Tree Line, not much to talk there. You know, I know that the power leveling guide is, some people are a bit struggling, but now the turrets have less health, so I guess it will be pushing a bit faster, guys, now. And this is a good change for the power leveling people. I don't want to talk about those. So they add a bunch of like fucking items to Twisted Tree Line. Who gives a fuck? Rumble, some VFX change to Nunu, Rumble, Shyvana, and Brand. Not much to hear, and there's the skins. The Gentleman art looks good. I like the normal Tahm Kench skin. And new chroma packs for Grim Reaper, Carthus, Red Knight, Nasus, and Bard Blossom. Not the champions I would have picked, but the Nasus shit looks cool. And I'm just gonna wrap it up in this thing right now, guys. And it was actually quite a long video, but there was a lot to talk about, so apologies for that. I'm not sure I will be making these patch breakdowns anymore, because not a lot of people watch them, not in my channel, and not seem to be any other art sergers too. But, you know, who knows. See you guys later on the next video. Cheers.